Ma'am, you can start, ma'am.
Mala, you can start.
Okay, I hope everybody is able to hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hello, good evening, sir, and good evening to everybody here. My name is Mala, and I'm here just to introduce the speaker and the topic to you. But before that, a small introduction about Ancient Roots. Like I always say, Ancient Roots is a group of heritage and history enthusiasts who organize these sessions on a voluntary basis. And their aim is to bring lesser known topics, but relevant topics to the common man. So that is the whole scope of this session. But the topic today, I'm not sure if it is really lesser known. But before we move to the topic, a little bit about the speaker. We seem to have a very, very seasoned speaker today, Dr. Shivanagi Reddy. Dr. Shivanagi Reddy hails from an agricultural family, and he underwent a 4-year training in traditional sculpture and architecture from SV Institute for Traditional Sculpture and Architecture. He has a Master of Arts degree in Ancient Indian History, Culture, and Archaeology from Usmania University. He was awarded the Doctor of Philosophy, that is a PhD in History from Hyderabad Central University. So he is someone who obviously is very seeped in the subject. After that, okay, so apart from his educational qualifications, he joined government service in 1978 in the Endowments Department and moved to the Department of Archaeology and Museums of the government of Andhra Pradesh in 1979. He successfully transformed more than 100 temples built between the 7th to 17th centuries AD, which were threatened with submergence. And he himself has built more than 500 new temples all over Andhra Pradesh, as per the Shilpa and Agama Shastras. He has participated in many archaeological excavations at a good number of Buddhist sites in Andhra Pradesh. He has been conferred with the title Vastu Shilpa Vachaspati by Vastu Vijnani Dr. V. Ganapati Stapati. Professor Reddy also served at the National Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management as senior faculty, dean and director and member board of studies at many state universities. And after his retirement from the Department of Archaeology and Museums in 2013, he joined APTDC, that is the Andhra Pradesh Tourism Development Corporation, then as director, State Gallery of Art, Madhapur, Hyderabad till May 2014. And he also worked in Shilparamam till 2015 March. He has written and edited many books, which is about almost 50 books and 500 articles on history, culture, archaeology, Buddhism, and tourism. And he has received the Kalaratna Puraskar from the government of Andhra Pradesh for his contribution in historical and heritage studies. And he is currently the CEO of the Cultural Center of Vijayawada and Amravati, Mahalakshmi Group of Companies, Madhu Mahalakshmi Chambers in Vijayawada. Okay, so that is an introduction. That is quite a long introduction, I know, but I hope you have understood that this person is really seeped in the subject, both from the academic as well as his work experience point of view. Coming to the subject is about Buddhism in Tamil Nadu. I think it was a lesser known topic, almost unknown topic until a film in Tamil got released. I'm not even sure if the speaker is aware of the film. It's called Ezham Arivu, which introduced us to, Kanchipuram and Bodhidharma and how Shaolin Temple was built by a Tamilian, etc. I'm sure before that, in our history books, we have read about the Bhakti movement, destruction of Buddhist sites and building of the Shiva and Vishnu temples, etc. And that is all we know about Buddhism in Tamil Nadu. But with an experienced speaker like this, I hope we are enlightened much more on this subject. Over to the speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for giving me what we call, though I am a very small man, you have given what we call an introduction that really keeps me in good moods throughout my talk. Thank you so much. And I would like to place on record my sincere thanks first and foremost to Ancient Roots, particularly Rajaram sir, for inviting me to this talk. And I feel it a great opportunity for me. Though I am not a specialist in Buddhist archaeology of Tamil Nadu, but I will try my level best to just give the glimpses of Buddhism in Tamil Nadu in general. Before I start my talk, I would like to add here, thanks to Mala ma'am who has given introduction. I want to add now just 2 days back. I am again thankful to Sri Mallepalli Lakshmaya Garu, Special Officer, Buddhavanam Project, Telangana Tourism Development Corporation, who is kind enough to give me an opportunity to work with the institute as a Buddhist expert consultant in Buddhavanam project. I would like to add to the CV that has been presented in addition to that one. Now, are you hearing me, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
Okay, I will just continue. Thing is that share the yes, Buddhism in Tamil Nadu, because we have to thank to many people, beginning with what we call Ayyappan sir, the story of Buddhism in southern India, again story of Buddhism in Tamil Nadu. After that, T.N. Ramchandran sir, Nagapatnam branches in Chennai Government Museum. Then the excavators, many more people have excavated Kaveri, Pumpattanam, then Kanchi, K.V. Soundararajan sir, and Dayalan Garu has very recently written a book called Buddhism in Southern India. So there are many people, including even that sporadically, some people have worked on Buddhism, including our greatest man, R. Nagaswami Garu, etc. Many people have worked on Buddhism in Tamil Nadu. So recently also, many more youngsters have been working on the subject. So what I mean to say here is, though I am from Vadakkanadu, that is from the northern part of Tamil Nadu, though we are also part of Cholamandalam, that is Cholamandalam, that Coromandel. We are also part of Coromandel, including entire Tamil Nadu and coastal Andhra up to the Orissa. So I feel that it is also a chance for me to just dwell on the subject very briefly. Please don't think me that I am going to give expert knowledge on this thing, but I want to present a very brief that advent of Buddhism to Tamil Nadu, then various sites that were excavated in Tamil Nadu, prominent sites, then with the Buddhist patronage given to Buddhism by various dynasties right from the Pallavas till to the end of Vijayanagara period, then good number of Buddhist philosophers. I think no other state has produced those many number of Buddhist philosophers. Credit goes to Tamil Nadu only. Many people have lived in both Kanchi, Kaveripatnam, then Nagapatnam. Then many of them were on invitation, went to Sri Lanka. They lived at Anuradhapura and many other places. So this is before going into the details, as I said earlier, my very first thing is the advent of Buddhism to Tamil Nadu goes back to 3rd century BC. If not what we call is 5th century BC, when Lord Buddha was alive. So it is from the 3rd century BC when Asoka Maurya has ruled the entire Jambu Dvipa, in which Chera, Pandya, Kerala Putra and Chola were under his domain, which means that Tamilkam was also under his rule, and he was instrumental in spreading the Dhamma of the Buddha through his edict, as well as sending missionaries to Tamilakam. So that is very first instance. After that, we also have references from Sri Lanka and again some writings from Tamil Nadu that Mahinda Thera, that is son of Asoka Maurya, while he was moving to Sri Lanka, he visited Tamil Nadu, lived quite some time, cities like at Nagapatnam, etc. It was there, but not corroborated with any archaeological evidences, but the tradition holds that along with Asoka Maurya, Mahinda Thera was also instrumental in what we call sowing the seeds of Dhamma in early Tamilakam. That is a very interesting account. After that, what happened was, the excavations conducted at Kanchi Kamakshi Amman temple and many other parts of the Kanchipuram revealed that the connection, the Buddhist connection was there right from at least 2nd century BC through antiquities. After which what happened was, we have also recovered Rudra Satakarni's coins of the Satavahana times. Then we also got Buddhapada, then some Buddhist sculptures, etc., which are more akin to Amaravati school of sculpture, more akin to what we call the Buddha images that were recovered in course of excavations at Amaravati and surroundings in Andhra Pradesh, which really attest the fact that during the Satavahana phase, early Tamilakam was also predominantly Buddhist in faith. So this is very, very interesting. After that excursions at Kanchi, we have also information coming from what we call Kaveri Pattanam. That is what we call Kaveri Pumpattanam or Pumpuhar, we all know. I am not going to venture to speak on Pumpuhar because you are well informed. And at that place, what we call, there were some copper images of Buddha were recovered. Then from the Vihara of the Kaveri Pumpattanam, limestone panels of the Buddha depicting Purnaghata, Swastika, etc., datable to 2nd, 3rd centuries AD were recovered. Again, it is a testimonial for the flourishing state of Buddhism in Tamil Nadu, particularly the port towns. Most of the port towns connected to trade, not only to connected to the what we call inland, but also to the foreign lands. That is the connection that the Tamil Nadu has got in early centuries of Christian era. Next is that Nagarjunakonda inscription refers to 14 countries where from the Buddhist monks used to come visit Nagarjunakonda, that is Sri Parvata Vijaypuri, among which Tamilakam is also there, Tamila. The term was used in 3rd century AD. That is, Acharyas from Tamil country have come to Sri Parvata Vijaypuri and vice versa. Afterwards, excavations conducted at Pallavaneswaram revealed existence of a stupa decorated with what we call stucco work. This is datable to 5th and 6th centuries AD. At the same time, we also have to refer what we call the early literature of the Tamil, or what we call Sangam literature, Manimekhalai. Then again, one more is Silapadikaram. In both of these things, we get information, though it is not stray, but occasionally we get information on the prevalence of Buddhism in this part of the country, as well as what we call both the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. References were also there. And I am not going to reveal the entire story. After that, what happened was, Pallava king Mahendra Varman, he has written a book called Matta Vilasa Prahasana. That is a wonderful book. If you come across, kindly just read it over without leaving any gap in between. That is a wonderful book in which he mentions that Buddhism was slowly decaying and the conditions were not congenial for Buddhism. Slowly, he said that it was slowly deteriorating. The Sangha was also lost its pristine glory as it was in early periods. So it was a mention. After that, lost its pristine glory as it was in early periods. So it was a mention. After that, Kanchi, we all know that Kanchi was the seat of Buddhist learning, and Acharya Buddhaghosha from Andhra Pradesh, he visited Kanchi, and along with his friends, he stayed for quite a long time. After that was what we call, that is 4th, 5th century AD, and Huyen Song. You all know that he is a Buddhist Acharya from China. He came from Upper Silk Route and left to China through what we call our one more route. It is, I forgot that one. That is spice route from the down south of South India. He also visited Sola country or Solia country in 640 AD. He visited Kanchipuram. He has given a very narrative account that how Buddhism was there along with Jainism. there were 100 Buddha temples and the 10,000 Buddhist monks, like that. He has also given an account which gives that the continuous flourishing state of Buddhism, though to a minimal extent, the decay was starting. That is the historical account of these things. And he also said that 300 Sri Lankan Buddhist monks were living in Kanchi. Huyen Sang's account. Next, a Buddhist temple was built for Chinese during Narasimhavarma Pallava Malla, who ruled between 695 AD and 722 AD at Nagapattinam. So all these accounts clearly prove the long line of continuity of the flourishing state of Buddhism. I am again and repeating it. Many Buddha sculptures
Sir,
times Nagapattinam continued to be a Buddhist center for both native and Southeast Asian country monks. It was a very good international port. There were many colonies for not only Buddhists, for traders also, and traders encouraged Buddhism to flourish. Many images of Buddha, many number, we are now going to see through 10th century to even 13th century. I would also like, sorry for the interruption. After, what happened was from 10th century onwards, it also received patronage, and Rajaraja the First, Rajaraja the Great, has also donated Anai Mangalam village to a Buddhist Sangha, which was again renewed by his son Rajendra Chola. So there are many such instances. Small Buddha images on the Gopura of Buddheshwara temple built by Rajaraja I. So we will also go to see it. Then there is a Korean inscription dated 1378 AD. An Indian monk, Dhanabhadra, lived. Dhanabhadra delivered a talk to many talks at Kanchi. That is again Burmese inscription of King Dharmacheti dated 1472, well versed in Tripitaka. So like that, what happened was we have AD through even Manikavachakar, Tiruknana Samandar, even in their writings also we get inscriptions. Apart from that, we also have got Kundalakesi, Baddha Kundalakesi. Such works were also available where little information on Buddhism, Sangha, and flourishing state of Dhamma or the philosophers was also there. Now, I would like to go to straight away to what we call the Buddha slides. He is Buddhaghosa. We all know Buddhaghosa hails in Andhra Pradesh, and again he stayed for quite a long time in again very pleasures and took Buddhism. Then he became a convinced monk. We all know that he moved to what we call the Zen philosophy, the Dhyan philosophy. Later they became Zen philosophy, and he is the progenitor of 2525 of Zen philosophy. He also hails from Kanchipuram. What I mean to say is, I'm not going to deal with all the works they have given or anecdotes centered around them. Because of lack of the time, we have many number of slides which show the Buddhist images. For that, I would like to take. In 640 AD, as I mentioned earlier, Huyen Song visited Kanchipuram and stayed there at least for a few months. So these are some of the things, and you all know that this is early Tamilkam, where you have got Kanchipuram, then your Arikamedu, where you also got Buddha image, then Kaveri Patnam, then this is all the Kaveri Delta where Buddhism really flourished, and Madura. Madurai was also a center. You all know that Madurai was a center of Kanchi, center of Buddhism along with other religions flourished. This is Pumbhar. Excavations at Kaveri Patnam revealed many aspects of early history among which what we call the antiquities reveal the connection between the Pumbhar to other Southeast Asian countries and the connection with Buddhism. You all know that Goa Institute of Marine Archaeology has conducted excavations and revealed what we call, some people presumed it as the remnants of the stupas under water. Yes, this is the image of a bodhisattva recovered from Pumbhar or Kaveri Patnam. This is again, you can kindly recollect the image of the Amaravati. That is, during those days we do not have any such a we could also recover what we call Buddha images and antiquities of Buddhism. The Buddha and Bodhisattva. Yes. Next, as I showed earlier, the Buddha image recovered from Kanchi Meenakshi Amman temple is now in Chennai Museum. So this is again a clear testimonial that Buddhism flourished at Kanchi during 2nd, 3rd centuries and continued up to the 15th century AD. We will show the slides in the coming this thing. Next, at Kanchipuram, we have got many number of these things. These the images that now I am going to show you reflect what we call the Vajrayana phase of Buddhism images. Buddha seated in Padmasana, but with earth touching posture. What we call is his right hand is touching the earth. What we call it as Bhumi Sparsa Mudra. This is very important. It reflects that what happens is the night on which he got enlightenment. He says that I have got every right to get enlightenment, and for that the Mother Earth is the witness. That is symbolically represented, and you can also see the flames on the head, then on the Ushnisha. Then you also see the curly hair, Dakshinavruta Kesha, that is Lambakarnata. All these reflect what we call Mahapurusha Lakshanas of the Buddha. You know, there are 32 Mahapurusha Lakshanas. It is a very good list. And Akshobhya Buddha, when the earth touching Buddha is also known as Akshobhya Buddha. It is from Kanchi, datable to 9th, 10th centuries AD. Again, Amitabha Buddha. What is Amitabha? When he will be seated in a dhyana posture, then he is known as Amitabha Buddha. This is the difference. Amitabha Buddha always seen in dhyana mudra. Then Akshobhya Buddha with earth touching posture, that is Bhumi Sparsa Mudra. This is the clear delineation between these two. Even we go to any temple, if we come across these cultures, we can name whether it belongs to Amitabha Buddha or Akshobhya Buddha. Again, many number of such these things are also there. Then at Nagapatnam, a good number of varieties of Buddha images, single individual or associated with other sculptures are also found there. Not only stone, but also bronzes are also there. Gold coated are also there. Even golden Buddha was also there. You all know that Tirumangayalvar in 8th century AD, he actually stolen. I am sorry to say, it is a historical fact. Tirumangai Alvar, he is known as one of the Alvars. He was given that status thanks to the persons who have given it. But in spite of that, he has stolen the golden Buddha image, sold out. Then with that money, the account says that he utilized for raising the 3 prakaras at Srirangam. So we at the moment cannot confront whatever, kindly take it in a positive way. It is a historical account, nothing to do with Vaishnavism or any other things. I have got respect towards all the religions that flourished on Indian soil because we are secular in nature now. So you see, Nagapatnam branch, what a beautiful Buddha image. Then Buddha from Nagapatnam, there are many images are there. Please refer, get a copy of it, that branches of Nagapatnam. Now in Chennai Museum, a book is available. Whenever you are in Egmore Museum, please collect that book. It is a very, very cheap and interesting book on these things. And Buddha, again here you see, he is in Abhaya Mudra. Then again, a flame on the top, or what we call is Ushnesha in the shape of a flame. This Abhaya is what we call, why he is giving Abhaya is that when people are practicing Panchasila, practicing Ashtanga Marga, there is no Bhaya. So it clearly reveals that please practice the Dhamma, then you do not have any fear, because in Panchasila, don't lie, don't take anything which is not given, don't misbehave with any other people, that is on sexual basis. Then again, don't kill anything. Like that, what happens is all these Panchasila of you practice, there is no Bhaya in your mind. Then again, Amitabha Buddha from Nagapatnam. So from one sculpture to another sculpture, right from 9th century to 14th century, you have got a clear delineation of the iconometry, whether it is in seated posture, it is in standing posture, or the change in the mudras, or in the robes. The Buddhist robes are called as chivaras. So you can see 3 chivaras Buddha will wear. You can also see those things. And as we come across many Buddha images, we can clearly see the difference or change that occurred in making the sculptures. These sculptures are, there are no exclusive Buddhist sculptures. What happens is, as the Buddhist monks prescribe, you please do a sculpture for me like this, then the sculptor automatically makes the image and gives. This is the most popular worldwide known Buddha image in Chinmudra posture. It is very interesting. Chinmudra, we have got Dharmachakra Pravartana Mudra up to the Gupta period, 5th century AD. If you go to Sarnath, the Sarnath image is what we call Dharmachakra Pravartana Mudra only. Sometimes we also come across with Vitarka Mudra, but Chinmudra comes only from Tamil Nadu. This is a unique feature that we come across. And apart from that, the delineation of the robe or chivara is very interesting. At the back of it is, you can see it clearly has got the influence of the contemporary Jain images. Mostly Jain images, we see the background is well decorated. No? The same is the case with this particular Buddha. Yes, now this is Kalparuksha. We will have Kalparuksha for many of our Brahmanical images. But here on the Kalpalata is there at the background. There is also a Chatra, because when he was born, what happened was, he said that he becomes a universal spiritual leader. That is Chatra resembles. Yes, as early as 1846, we have got the Chinese pagoda built by the Chinese at Nagapatnam, which is 30 meters in height. It was dismantled in 19th century only, and the photograph was taken in late 19th century. So this is clear-cut evidence that Chinese pagodas meant for them. It really looks like our Gopura, but the architecture is totally different. They like their this thing. For example, the Sikhs, when they live in Chennai, they will construct a Gurudwara in their own fashion. If we go to Tamilians, they live in colonies of USA, they are building Kandan temple in Tamil Nadu solar architecture only. This is quite common. It is also the same thing. Yes, again from Nagapattinam, you will have varieties of Buddha images come across in bronzes. Because I am not going to maximum details give, because most of the things are repeated. But the drapery is totally different. The chivara is different. You can see it is not folded from right to left here. That is an Andhra style. But here in Tamil Nadu, it is a total different style. The chivara is covered full. It is known as Sanghati, Uttara Sangha, Antara Vasaka. These three are called as three chivaras, three robes that a Buddhist monk is supposed to wear according to Vinaya Pitaka. Buddha prescribed that rule. So this is the Sanghati is the upper garment, and again the inner Antara Vasaka is not seen like that. Yes, most of the things are like that only. You can also see this is a wonderful golden coated Buddha image from Nagapattinam, but now in Victoria and Albert Museum. I really don't know to feel sorry or to feel happy. To feel sorry is that we lost the treasure from Tamil Nadu, and the happy is the since it is located in Victoria and Albert Museum, it is being visited by millions of people coming from world over. That is the happiest thing. Yes, you see that the stance, what a Shantamurti boltana, the entire physiognomy reflects the peace. It is embedded with peace because Buddha is a compassionate man. Again, yes, now you can see most of the images in South India. What happens was the Prabha Mandala is the prominent and significant item of Hindu icons right from the early centuries of Christian era. But here what happens was the Prabha Mandala with Dharma Chakra on either side, the architecture reflects any other Hindu this thing. But it is now currently in the collection of Marcel Nice. It is a private collection. What can we do? We lost many things, but thanks for safe custody of these rare and unique and important Buddhist sculptures hailed from Tamil Nadu. They have labeled it as hailed from Tamil Nadu. That is very interesting thing. Another Nagapattinam Buddha statue now currently in Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaja Vastu Sangrahalaya Museum, Mumbai. Yes, from Mumbai, this museum is also frequented by many people, not only from India, but almost all the states of India, but from the foreigners. They really come to know. Here you can see the Abhaya Mudra is on the left hand. This is a unique, again a unique feature now where you come across with this one. And again, this is what we call Vyakhyana Mudra on the right hand. It is a typical thing, very typical. But the robes are also not from the right to left, but from the left to right. It is very interesting, unique feature. The Padma Pita typically resembles the South Indian Brahmanical gods only. So the artisans, what they wanted is, they do not compromise as far as the image is concerned, but they took liberty in our freedom in delineating the Padma Pita like more or like the Hindu these things. Again, this is one more bronze image from actually from Nagapattinam, but currently at Napier Museum, Thiruvananthapuram. Yes, Thiruvananthapuram is in Kerala. Let it be. We also have in Andhra Pradesh AP State Museum in Hyderabad, or Telangana State Museum in Hyderabad. We have got a good collection of Buddhist bronzes recovered from Nagapattinam. This is what we call is that exchange basis. We have given from our bronzes to Tamil Nadu, and Tamil Nadu is very friendly that it has donated a few bronzes that they recovered from Nagapattinam. This is very interesting thing. So this really clearly reveals that a good understanding between the two states. Yes, again, a small one. This is Akshobhya Buddha from Nagapattinam. This is only 3.5 inches only. So some people say that these small images, while the monks are on their itinerary from one place to another place, because during the like how we have Chaturmasya in Hinduism, we also have in Buddhism, that is known as 4 months. Buddhist monks are not supposed to move. They will stay at one place. It is called as Vasavasa. During those days, they stay only in caves or in viharas. Only the local households will give alms coming over to the viharas. This is the thing, na? During that point of time, when Buddhist monks move from one place to another place, they change, they go from one sima to another sima. They carry these small miniature Buddha images along with them. So this is the very purpose of these tiny and small Buddha images. You see such a beautiful Buddha image. It's also from Tamil Nadu, that is Nagapattinam. It is now Art Institute of Chicago. Every day, million people will visit it. They simply go, don't visit and pass it. They stay, stand in front of it, go round all around, and observe the iconographical features that a granite sculpture can render. Can we imagine? That is the skill of the Tamil Silpin, Sippiyar. That is the greatness. You see what a beautiful sculpture it is. Nowhere, no other of its kind available in entire Tamil Nadu or other parts of South India. Such a beautiful sculpture. It actually adorns the entire gallery. Very interesting. Kindly visit whenever you are around Chicago. Yes, again, Malanur in Tanjore district. Many number of these things are there. It is clearly Buddha. How to distinguish the difference between Buddha and Jaina images? Jaina images are Digambars, so they do not have any cloud on their body. But in Buddhism, you can clearly delineate or identify that this image, though the head is lost, you can clearly reveal that it belongs to Buddha because of the robes. Such a beautiful sculpture in Dhyana Mudra. Might be earth touching posture because the hand is totally different. Buddha in Dhyana Mudra, again, it is in Norton Simon Museum of Arts. Then it is from again Nagapattinam. Oh, sorry. Okay. Again, a small which is in Museum of Art in New York, Metropolitan Museum. Amitabha Buddha, now it is in Brooklyn Museum, Nagapattinam. When I am referring that all the images which are from Nagapattinam are in different world-class museums, for that we should feel very happy. Because most of the people, yes, this is what I have shown you, but it is in again Nagapattinam Amitabha Buddha branch. Again, yes, you see. Now, the wide variety of Buddhist images are recovered from Nagapattinam because it was during those days called as a meeting point for almost all the Buddhist monks, Chaturarya Bhikshu Sangha. From north, east, south, etc. It was the meeting point. Not only from Indian four direction, from Southeast country and Asian also. Earlier, we have also referred the inscriptions from Malaya, inscription from Siam, etc., where they have got connection to Nagapattinam, including China. Yes, this is a very beautiful Maitreya image from Nagapattinam, but dated to 9th century. You can see clear that Pallava and Rashtrakuta stands in the standing image of Maitreya. Maitreya, you all know that it is a Buddha yet to come. Now, Siddhartha Gautama was or is the 7th Buddha, Manushi Buddha, the historical Buddha. Earlier were considered as what to call the lineage of they represent the lineage of the Buddha Vamsa. It is Buddha lineage. Then we have got 28. The 28th was Buddha, Maitreya. Similarly, among the 8, the 7th was historical Buddha. The 8th is the would-be Buddha or the Buddha to come yet. This is very, very interesting. Maitreya Nada Buddha or Maitreya Buddha from Nagapattinam. You see what a wonderful, so beautiful. The decoration on his body is what we call tremendous. Yes. Now, from Nagapattinam again, you have got Maitreya Buddha in different postures. Again, some they also call it as Bodhisattvas. You all know that what Bodhisattva is. Everybody can become the Buddha. You can also become the Buddha. You are your own master. If you take the right path, you can definitely become Buddha. For becoming Buddha, one has to attain or one has to fulfill the 10 perfections, Dasha Paramita or Shat Paramita. For us, it takes really many number of lives, so that even in Buddha, for Buddha Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama, it took 547 births so that he could accomplish all the Dasha Paramitas for 3 times. Then he became the Buddha. That is according to the Buddhist chronicles. Next, Shadakshari Lokeswara from Nagapatnam. Like how we also have Shadaksharaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Like that, in Buddhism also, there are certain, what we call, whether they have followed Buddhism or Buddhist or Buddhist followed the Saivites, we really do not come across. But Shadakshari Lokeswara from Nagapatnam, 11th century AD, is a wonderful piece. Similar piece is also recovered from what we call Manjunatha temple in Manjunatha temple from that Manjunatha temple in Karnataka. I have forgotten the name. A very wonderful image is there. Yes, next, one more Avalokiteswara. Can you believe? This is very interesting, which looks like what we call, that is, people call it as Virasana. Wonderful thing from Nagapatnam. Again, yes, associated things. How we have got Kubera for Hindu pantheon, Buddhists also have got Jambhala and Vasudhara. Jambhala is like Kubera, who will also always have riches with him, and his wife is Vasudhara. She is like Lakshmi, giving riches to the wholesome personalities. It is in Vajrayana phase, not earlier. Yes. Apart from that, what we call is, if we go to Tibet or Sikkim, we come across these type of stupas. What happens was, this clearly reveals that Buddhist monks right from 9th, 10th century onwards, from Sikkim and Himalayan region, visited Nagapatnam. This is a clear evidence. So this is cultural migrations. What we call, we have adopted the mode of creating miniature stupas with Buddha images. So this is one such example. This is not native, but made by, cast by the local native artisans of Sthapatis from Kumbakonam area. Yes, not only the Buddha, not only Avalokiteswaras and other forms, but again, we also have got Buddha images, Bhikkhu images, like how we will, we have those Vishnu, and again, Alvars, and again, saints of the Vaishnavites, Tirugnan, Samadar, etc., how we come across their statues in some temples like Ramanujar. We also have got bhikshus and bhikshunis from Nagapatnam. This is very interesting. Yes, these are Buddhist monk sitting with folded hands, standing with folded hands, and you can clearly see how they look like in 13th, 14th centuries AD. There is no change in the posture of the Buddhist monks or nuns even now. Yes, this is a bhikshuni from Nagapatnam. Again, so what we call is the Maitreya. Maitreyana? No. Nagapatnam. This is Maitreyanatha Buddha from Nagapatnam. So this is again, sorry. It moved. It is Kadiravani Tara. We also have got Tara sculptures, both made in stone as well as bronze. This is Kadiravani Tara, Arya Tara, Sita Tara. In many Bhrukuti Tara, there are many varieties of Tara images in Buddhism. Unless until we are familiar with the Tantrayana Buddhism or Mantrayana Buddhism or Vajrayana Buddhism, it is very difficult for ordinary man or a general man to identify these cultures unless until they are labeled. Yes, B. Bhattacharya iconography of Vajrayana Buddhism is there, exclusive written on these things. This is again Tara, simple Tara. So how to delineate? As soon as we see, we can label it as it is a Buddhist, because it is totally different from our routine Devi, whether it is Sri Devi, Bhudevi, or Parvati or Sita. So it is totally different from the regular South Indian Brahmanical idols. So this is a clear-cut Tara bronze image recovered from Nagapatnam, dated very late 16th, 17th centuries AD. Again, Lokeswara, as I said, one is Shadakshari Lokeswara. This is simple Lokeswara. Again, Kumbhanda and Jambhala and Vasudhara. These are totally different forms. So Maitreyanatha, as we have seen earlier, Buddha in Dhyana Mudra from Tyaganur. Yes. Now we are moving from Kanchi, Kaviripatnam, Nagapatnam to other areas in entire Tamilakam. because Buddhism also received patronage from other parts of Tamil Nadu, and this is the clear-cut image that from Chaganur in Salem district, we have a wonderful Buddha image recovered, but it is there in the local temple. One can go and see it is in clear Dhyana Mudra, and you can also see, but it is decorated as a Vaishnavite saint, not as a Buddha. You can see namas on the shoulders and on the body of Buddha, and even on the forehead you can see Nama, Tirunama. They worship him as Vaishnavite. You all know that from 7th century AD onwards, Buddha was also included in Dasyavataras. Ramo, Ramachya, Ramachya, Buddha Kalkirevacha. Matcha Varaha Kurmacha Narasimhacha Vamanaha. Ramo, Ramachya, Buddha Kalkirevacha. Buddha was adopted, included, assimilated into what we call Hinduism and Saivism also, Bodhanath in Nepal, like that. Na? So it is a quite common thing, Chaganur Buddha image. There are many such images in Chaganur. This is again one more image worshipped as Saivite saint. Now we can clearly delineate that this is a Buddha image, but people worship it like a Saivite saint with these things, etc. Vibhuti. Buddha as Amitabh from Elianur. One more center, Tanjore, was also considered as a great Buddhist center during the Chola times and continued next Pandyan times also. It was Tanjai. Kanchi and Tanjai were both were what we call contemporary Buddhist centers. This is again Buddha Amitabha from Manambadi, again in Tanjavur district. Some 15 villages from surrounding in Tanjore, we have got clear-cut Buddha images, which clearly says that during the medieval times, many of the people say that Buddhism was entrenched from India. No, it is not a fact. Take the example of Tamil Nadu, where we have got hundreds of Buddha images even still today worshipped. But the date of the image clearly reveals the century in which it was created. So this is the best example from Manambadi in Tanjore district. It is right from Tanjore. As we have seen earlier, similar one was created here. This is bronze icon of standing Buddha with flaming Ushnisha from Tanjore itself. This is again Tanjore from Tanjavur. Many number of there. Tiruvatti in South Arcot district, SA district, we also have got Amitabha Buddha. So not one place, almost all the districts we got Buddha images, which really clearly says Jayangonda, Solapuram in Trichy district. Where is Trichy? Trichy is very far away from what we call from central Tamil Nadu. Again, we have got the clear delineation, but the Prabha Mandala is broken. There are flames like how we have got flames all around the Prabha Mandala for Nataraja image of the Chola times and even after that time. So what I mean to say here is the artists have adopted certain things from not only, but the real meaning of the flame in Buddhism is different from the flame of the Saivite. Yes, you can also see clearly. This is again Gangaikonda Cholapuram, sorry, Jayangonda Cholapuram. Next is actually Manikandi, is a place in Ramnathpur district, Ramnath district. So it is a clear testimonial. Almost all the districts bear the influence of Buddhism, and these are clear testimonials for that. This is again Kuvam. Kuvam is again in Chengalpet district, very close to Andhra Pradesh and again our Chennai. Chengalpet district was mostly Kuvam. We have got Muslim inscriptions, we have got Jaina sculptures. It was a wonderful place because since it is located in the contiguous region to Tamil and Andhra, I think cross cultural currents were so prominently seen there. This is Pondicherry. Yes, one more what we call is princely. Sorry, one more union territory. Pondicherry. In Arikamedu, you all know that Arikamedu was a trade center in Kanchi. Yes, these are again Perambalur district. Paravai is a place where we have got two Buddha, beautiful images of Buddha. Again in Lalgudi Road, Ariyalur and Lalgudi Road, in there is a Buddha image in the fields. Nobody bothers because he is not in regular worship. So yes, yet sometimes what happens was the Buddha image was used to tie the cattle, See the state of affairs. Such a great personality, Buddha. Now worldwide he is known as the a wonderful philosopher ever born in entire world. Such is the greatness of the Buddha. But due to lack of awareness, we cannot blame this lady, but it is for us to create awareness in the villages that this is a Buddha image. Yes, these are the Buddha images in Dhyana Mudra, and one is in Akshobhya and Amitabha. In the outskirts of Kanchi, in Pallur, excavations were also conducted there. Then in Kanchi itself, there is one Mahaparinibbana posture in Kanchi. Yes, do you locate it, sir? It is very interesting image, but though damaged, it is the last, what we call the last phase of holy Buddha or the Lord Buddha. It is Mahaparinirvana. Yes, in Kanchi, if you go around the Prakara, you can see Dhyana Buddha. Again, you also have see Bhumisparsa Mudra is also there. Yes, these are on the compound wall of the this thing. This is on the pillar of the Kanchi Kamakshi Amman temple. You can also see Tamil inscriptions there. So what I mean to say here is, in police station, Buddha statue kept in a police station in Kanchi. Why bole to? Yes, one great policeman might have been influenced by the Buddha, which was really thrown, neglected and uncared in the streets. He simply collected and kept in a small miniature shrine in this thing. Yes, these are the image. Yes, can you see? This is Buddha image. Again, this is a Buddha image. This is a Buddha image. You see, in sporadically there are Buddha images inside the Kamakshi Amman and other temple, Kachapeswara temple in Kanchi. Yes, this is Dharma Chakra. Again, datable to 13th, 14th centuries AD. Again, Dharma Chakra, simple Dharma Chakra was also in worship. Yes, again, a Buddha statue in Arpakam in the outskirts of Kanchi. There are many such sculptures in Kanchi. Yes, again, now in Chennai Museum, from Kovam it was shifted. Again, Avalokiteswara statue from Kaveri Pakam near Kanchi is now in again Chennai Museum. Whenever you are in Chennai, please visit all the other sculptures also, but don't leave unvisited the Buddha and Jain sculptures in Chennai Museum, because they also reflect the culture and ethos of the Tamil Nadu people during the Middle Ages. Yes, you see, what a beautiful image. It really looks like a youth, Buddha in youth, or immediately after the attainment of enlightenment, Samma Sambuddha. It is 11th century in Tiruvarur district, Tirunellikkaval is the village. Again, now in Tyagaraja temple in Tiruvarur, it is in a temple museum, thanks to the people who are maintaining it. Again, Tara from Kiranur in Tiruvarur district, now in Chennai. What a beautiful image. Most of the people think that it is part of Somaskandamurti of Shiva. Parvati also looks like, but this is Tara. Yes, again, statue and stupas from Sellur in Tamil Nadu, Sellur. Many number of bronzes were recovered from treasure trove. It belongs to, and the difference, can you notice? This is actually in what we call Virasana. It is Virasana. Earlier it was not. It is again in Chinmudra, in Dhyana. This is a typical, which reflects the examples of early medieval period Buddha images from Ajanta. These are again stupas and small Buddha images inside the stupas. And again, your Dhammapada was also inscribed here. Dhammapada, you all know, na? It is a very wonderful sacred scripture for Buddhas. And statues from Sellur, later Chola period. You also see that Chatra is also there. Again, Bhumi, Yatra touching posture. Now I am concluding the last part. Again, Bodhisattva, only 3 inches from these things, and Bhikshu from again Nagapatnam, only 3 inches. This is again Buddha at Pushpavanam in Nagapatnam area. Yes, very, very beautiful Buddha image. Again considered as a Saivite monk. These are some of the statues from Padavedu in Tiruvannamalai district. What I mean here to say, again in Madagaram village in Tanjore district, many number of such images are there. This is again from Tanjore in Darbar Hall, Tanjavur Museum. Again, Avalokiteswara flanked by Tara and Bhrukuti Tara from Tirukavur in Tanjore district. I am sorry not to pronounce it clearly in Tamil accent. Again, many number of such images are also there in Tanjavur Museum. Please go and visit. Yes, very interesting thing is that the Brihadiswaram or Rajarajeswaram, that is the greatest temple of the Chola period, Rajarajeswaram, Brihadiswara temple. On the walls, you also find Buddha statue carved in the walls. And this is again from Dharasuram. Very interesting. Dharasuram is also, you know, that Chola temple, Airavataeswara temple at Dharasuram. Yes, this is from Tiruchirappalli, Kodiyalam from Tiruchirappalli district, datable to 12th century AD. These two images, and under the Bodhi tree is very clearly delineated. On either side, you can see Vidyadharas. Yes, Buddha from one more village from Tanjavur district, now in Chennai Museum. Thank you. Before concluding, I would like to refer a small portion of a copper plate inscription from Andhra Pradesh. That is what we call is that Tummalagudem, very close to Hyderabad. It says, Sarva Sattvanam Nikila Dukhopasemanam, only Buddha Dhamma. Buddha Dhamma will eradicate, remove all the sufferings of the human beings and other living beings. Thank you so much. And kindly notice that I am showing you here Buddhavanam project, which has come up, taken up by government of Tamil Nadu, which is very nice, a thematic park, Buddhavanam. Kindly visit. There is 8 different sectors developed on, centering on Buddha, his Dhamma, Jatakas, Sopas. Sopavanam is there, Dhyanavanam is there. Sri Lanka people have donated that Aukana Buddha 35 feet image is there. So kindly come over here, enjoy yourself, spend some time by contemplate meditation at Buddhavanam. Thanks a lot for giving me a wonderful opportunity to share at least my little innocence before the August audience of Tamil Nadu. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Raman. Thanks. Sir, namaskar.
That was a wonderful, I am Professor Parsardi. That was a wonderful exposition by Dr. Sivanagi Reddy Garu. And see, I have been listening to the lectures of Sapati Kala Parishad. Unique, every lecture is very unique, highly informative. Actually, I wanted to take some points from your lecture, but actually it covered about 14 pages. So that much of information you have given. You have given a great history of Buddhism, and also we are able to trace with your help beautiful images that are available, that are present in various parts of India and outside. And you have also beautifully given the various technical terms. That is also you have given the various postures. You have given the technical terms of dresses and other things, which is very, very rare. And you have given the different, you have talked about different images, and you have talked about the importance of various places of Nagapattinam and other places. Wonderful things. These are all very, very, these informations are not much known to most of us. See, even though we hear about Buddhism, you have given a wealth of information. Absolutely, I think all other people, as you said, that they are learned, they will also agree that your lecture is not an innocent lecture, that this is from the para level, it comes. You goes from the para level. So wonderful lecture, in spite of the fact of the number of disruptions in the telecasting, your lecture was something like a torrent. We enjoyed this, sir. All you have given a wealth of information, sir. We are very much blessed, and we want to hear such lectures in future also. Thank you very much on behalf of Ancient Rule. Namaste.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Namaste.